Yeah.
Right, the news, yeah.
Okay, guys, we're live. I'd like to call to order the meeting of Environmental Concerns and Real Property Tax Services Committee. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting, please? Supervisor McGowan. Second by Supervisor McDivitt. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Thank you. Give me 1 second. Okay, thanks. We have a short agenda today. I do want to welcome Supervisor Smith to our committee. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to your contributions to our important committee.
Really?
We all do. Thank you.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thank you.
All right, so we do have one item for action on the agenda for environmental concerns, and that is to request expanded applicability of the septic funding. At the last meeting, the consensus of the committee was that we would go back to the commissioner of DEC and ask for more funding for the septic replacement funds that we get from the state and are used to help private landowners along Lake George replace their septic systems. And that whole program is run through our planning department. And we did send a letter asking the commissioner to allocate us more money. So this is actually a follow-on. It would be a resolution, a formal resolution asking that the applicability and eligibility for our landowners is expanded. And the reason that we're asking for the expansion is because the Lake George Park Commission passed their rules for septic inspection programs, and it applies to properties within 500 feet of the lake and within 100 feet of tributaries. And currently the septic replacement funding that we get from the state, their eligibility criteria says that they will only give funding for properties within 250 feet of the lake. So there's this area of people who are going to get inspected. They're probably going to need to do something with their septics to replace them or repair them, and they're not going to be eligible for this state funding. So we're asking, I would like the committee's support on this resolution to ask for an increased, expanded applicability of the septic replacement funding. And our understanding is that this is something that the DEC can do without a whole lot of jumping through hoops. They just need to expand their program eligibility. It's not a new regulation or anything like that.
And that would be for future.
Yeah. It would be for future funding. And I just want to say one more thing, and then I'll open up and stop talking. The resolution talks about the 500 feet, but I neglected to include the additional language about properties within 100 feet of the tributaries. So I would like to be able to tuck that in somewhere. Supervisor Leggett, then Supervisor McGowan. Anything else, Supervisor Leggett? Supervisor McGowan?
Yeah, I like the idea of putting in 100 feet for the contributors.
Lexi pointed out to me that it is at the beginning of the resolution. It just doesn't say it down
In the result.
below. Yeah.
Right. I don't have a concern with the 500 feet, and I understand that. The 250 feet, we have eaten up the money, bing, 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 which is the importance. And what I'm afraid of is, and what I've seen in the past with these applications coming in, people just put it in there and then started doing their legwork. And some people that already had all their legwork and everything, done the paperwork done, was put behind them when we ran out of money. I'm afraid by going to 500 feet, I mean, 500 feet's quite a bit, 250 feet, you're much closer in the contributor. My only concern, and I'm happy either which way, but the 500, I'd rather make sure that we have enough money for the people that are 250 feet than 500 feet away. Because what I'm afraid is going to happen is all these people that are 500 feet away are going to come in and slam us. All right. And then the people who come in with the 250 feet, which for me are more important because they're closer, there won't be any money there and they won't get it done. I just want to say that that's how I'm looking at it.
I guess I can say from the program administration side on our end, I believe what they do is take the applications first in, first consider, it's a first come, first serve basis. So if you put your application in May and someone put theirs in April, the person who put theirs in May is going to have it reviewed first. It doesn't go by whether or not they're closest to the property or
Well, no, and that.
or how much
that's
legwork they
nothing
did in
I-
advance.
I'm not
Because some
saying-
are doing, having their engineers do the design work and getting work done.
Well, in that case, we need to have a rule saying that if you're gonna submit an application, you have to have your design work and stuff in, because what has happened, people says, well, geez, I'm gonna go after this $10,000. And I've seen this happen. All right, and actually, I had two clients that missed out on the first round, and thank God they came back in the second round. And then we were told, oh, put your brakes on a little, we might not be able to go back. Because they already had theirs done, but come to find out, they were able to, you know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
So this is my only concern. 500 feet is a long way. Unless you're living on a rock where the water's just running down, it's much further away than 250. But that's just my concern, whatever the general sense, I just want to put my 2 cents.
Okay. I guess my suggestion is that we ask Ethan from planning to come in and talk to us about the process. So that if we want to put more rules in place on our end of the process, that we talk to him and do that separately from this resolution.
I just know that we ran out of money the first time.
We did.
And we ran out, we're at the end of the second round and we're asking for more money. So that's why I brought it up this way. I'd
Yeah.
rather stay closer to the lake with the money that's coming in to make sure that we take care of the closest subjects to the lake, which are to me, the highest pollutants and on the contributaries, because those are another issue. But I'm just one.
Supervisor Leggett?
Thank you. On this 500 feet, is that the property line or a building end?
I believe it's actually the distance of the septic system itself.
Thank you.
Septic system within 500.
Yeah, because there is other language about the yeah.
Septic systems with it.
Well, do you guys want to hold off on this one?
Real quick,
Yes,
just to follow up on
Supervisor.
Craig, is that, so the septic system is at the end of the leach field or the actual box?
Septic. Period. Like get technical, Mr. Smith.
I don't know the answer to that.
It's a good point.
These are good points.
About that, sorry.
Yeah, these are good points and we can ask, if we don't feel comfortable with this right today, we can ask, is Ethan here? Yeah.
I would say.
Oh, I might hear his voice. Yeah.
Tanks, unless they're metal tanks. The metal tanks are dedicated too, so it's.
Thank
so
you.
Like I said, it's a
So
whole.
leach field's what, 30 yards? 15 to 20 yards? 15, 20 yards.
Mr. Gaddy's going to join us in just a second. There he is. We're going to throw you right under the bus. Mr. Gaddy, we are having discussion about this resolution to request the state to expand the eligibility of the septic replacement funding. And there's been I think people are in agreement that expanding the eligibility, especially for those properties near the tributaries, is good. There's a concern about if we expand it to the 500 feet, that's going to add more properties. And we may not have enough funding to then address the septic systems that are actually within 200 feet, which are closer to the lake and may pose more of a water quality problem. Is there a way in the implementation of our program that we can prioritize applications that come in that are within the 250 feet while still allowing applications to come in for septic systems that are within 500 feet?
Yeah, I think we have some discretion with how we administer the program. We could make things slightly more constrained than what the state lets us do. We just can't expand beyond what they let us do. We can't be more permissive. In terms of funding, the priority septic systems, on our conversations with clean water advocates and other people that are paying attention to, how much money the state and the governor's office has put towards clean water initiatives, there's a very large pot of money. And one of the things that we've been successful with is moving this money out the door and being able to go back to the state and ask for additional funding. So expanding the eligibility, I think, could only benefit because we can move more money and request more money, because there are millions of dollars that the state has for clean water initiatives. And if we can successfully move the money and do good work protecting water quality, I think we can just do more good work.
Supervisor McGowan.
Yes, thank you. Ethan, the particular, the reason I kind of brought this up with the 200 and 500.
Yeah.
Because to me, 500 feet, I'd rather concentrate on the 250, make sure that people get the money, because the one application we had, and we were lucky to, with the second round, be able to add that person, even though they had already gone and done, completed their project. But one of my questions was, if people are going to ask for an allocation of this money, I feel that they should have a certain amount of their project, in the works, not just to say, oh, this is a good idea, it's time that we do it. All right, and then they start all the legwork. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what happened with the first round of money. A lot of people just said, oh yeah, this is a great idea, we're going to move forward toward. And we ran out of money, and the people who were ready to actually start doing that and was hoping for that money to help out, it wasn't there. Thank God the second round came along, and and we really can't guarantee that we'll get a third and a fourth and a fifth. Let's hope we can.
Yeah,
I just have concerns, and can we change any wording or?
Yeah, we could certainly look at it. If we want to take a look at the numbers and see, it would be interesting to talk to the park commission about what they anticipate for their schedule. They've got a 5-year rolling schedule of inspections. So there could be an opportunity just to open the lines of communication. I mean, we already have, to see what areas they're targeting and see if there's any way that we could make our program be more responsive to where they're going to be inspecting. And that way, the people that'll have these mandated improvements to their septic systems will also have this other state program to sort of backstop that financial impact there. And then another, one of the other reasons too that we wanted to make, I don't know if Supervisor Bramer has gone through this yet, but the Park Commission regs cover a much wider geography, particularly with the tributaries. The concern would be that, there's a general assumption I think we have in the area that, waterfront property owners have more wealth and assets and whatever they can.
But
yeah, exactly. Yeah. We know that everyone's got a different circumstance. We can't make those assumptions, but along the tributaries, you will find, there's other properties that are just, multi-generational properties. And they don't necessarily have the $30,000 or $40,000 to all of a sudden replace a septic system. We would really hate to see a well-intentioned program from the Park Commission result in, a tributary side property, way far from the lakeshore, be in a situation where they're forced to either, sell their property or figure out some sort of scramble to account for the new mandate. So by expanding that geography, we hope to at least have some sort of incentive and sort of make sure that this very well-intentioned policy from the Park Commission doesn't have unintended negative consequences of displacing residents. So that's part of it.
Supervisor McGowan, go ahead. And then
Thank
I'll
you.
come to Supervisor.
No, Ethan, I'm all for that 100 feet. I'd even bump it to 200 feet, and in certain slopes to say that again.
Topography.
Yeah, it ain't coming out today. Sorry.
Many O's, yeah.
But and that's my concerns, is that we hit the forefront of the heavier contributors to you know, for the septics that could damage our waterfronts, you know, I just want to make sure that we have enough money for the people that are the closest. And it has nothing to do with wealth of being on the lake.
Right.
Supervisor Smith, sorry.
Yeah, so I've been here all 7 minutes, so.
You're good.
But something just struck me, and I'm gonna build on this. The worst, the most at-risk things are closer to the water. And if a lot of these people, so I'm wondering if there's some way to prioritize that, because I would hate to see that a lot of these people 500 feet away get a lot of this money, and all of a sudden, bam, somebody 100 feet from it has a leak, and people are gonna go, what are you guys doing? Why are you funding these? Why aren't you funding these guys? Optically, it might look a little strange for us. I know it's all important, but for something like that to happen, is that how's that for us optically?
Yeah. If I
Ethan, do you
could,
think you could come back to the committee with some more details about the process that you guys already have in place, and we can look at that and see if there's something that we can do to tweak it to make sure these concerns are addressed?
yes, and I just will say too, in terms of funding the septic projects, there are some, there's some hurdles that any property owner has to get over in order to actually get this money, which is they have to complete the septic replacement project and become reimbursed. So that does limit the pool of people that can actually participate in this program. And we have been looking at Suffolk, Nassau, and Rensselaer counties for sort of complementary county programs that could support the state program. But there's certainly, the septic replacement program is not a silver bullet. So we can't, it's like, we're not just funding septic projects, we're reimbursing a pretty small portion, as Supervisor, Brad could say, look at $50,000 projects. But yeah, we can get more details.
What's the consensus of the committee about this resolution though for eligibility?
Craig had something.
Yep, Supervisor Leggett.
Would provide consistency, wouldn't it?
It would. It would. And like Ethan said, it gives us the opportunity to ask for more money and get more money flowing to Warren County. How we divvy it out and get it to people, we can look at that going forward.
Yeah, I'm not against it.
You want to make a motion for it?
I'll make them. I just want to make sure that we have the process where the closer comes first. Somehow, without looking as favoritism.
Right.
Is favoritism. Go home, take a nap.
Supervisor Gerasi, and then I'll come to Supervisor.
I didn't have it. Well, general question is, are there opportunities in the future to expand us beyond Lake George?
We did put that in the letter. I don't know if it's in this resolution.
We did all water bodies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have been trying to get them to expand it beyond Lake George.
We haven't forgot about you up there.
Don't worry. Well, you can worry.
Thank you.
Supervisor McDevitt.
Not to kind of ask a kind of a silly question, but there is a problem. And I just pose that as a question. That this resolution addresses. So again, can just a couple of moments of defining yes, Margaret, we do have a problem here.
Yes, there's definitely a problem with the septic systems causing water quality issues in Lake George. And we want to address that. The Park Commission has been addressing it through these new regs, which have expanded applicability, which is why we want to ask for the expanded eligibility of the money.
Right, a problem was created when Lake George Park Commission went from 250 to 500.
Right.
And now properties are under an obligation to prove up and would have to fund replacement. And how is that done? So I take it that this is part of a solution. It would open it up to available funds to help those property owners.
Makes sense.
So we didn't create the problem.
No, no.
I mean,
Right.
yeah,
And
yes, Supervisor.
And another thing you have to remember, you know, just not like George, but every, like, you know, a lot of these were just considered camps at the time, you know, and then they kind of parlayed into a little insulation and, you know, a 3-season, and then, well, we really love it up here, and then it becomes a 4-season. So a lot of these systems, what has happened, a lot of these camps have kind of transferred into a full season, you know, slowly enough where there weren't permitting and stuff that was needed. And I've seen these cesspools there. I mean, actually, it was a drum. I've actually even seen where they cut into rock. Don't ask me where the water was going, you know, but there's had to have been some cracks in the rock somewhere. So I've seen a lot, and I think this is a great program. So I will make a motion to go to the 500 feet. I just want to make sure that we take care of or we get more funding to help everybody out.
Thank you. Are you amenable to adding the within 100 feet of the tributaries too?
I'd be.
In the last where.
But add
where
another
clause?
25 feet, just be.
No, don't do that. We want to stay consistent, please. Okay, good. Do I have a second to that motion? Thank you, Supervisor McDevitt. Any discussion on the motion, which is the resolution as written with the amendment at the end? Okay, great, good.
Aye.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
No.
Great, that carries. Thank you.
Just a quick one.
Yes, Supervisor
Should we
McGowan.
put
Thanks,
out
Ethan.
another letter?
Hmm?
Should we put out another letter just to remind the state that we're asking for more money?
We did put out a letter just this week asking for more money.
Oh, this week.
Yeah, and we have been working with Ethan and I have been working with, like he said, water quality advocates like Adirondack Council to ask the governor's office and the commissioner's office for more money for all of Warren County.
Good.
Lexi has an item to just bring to our attention. It's not an action item for today. She gave you the little sheet with the. Go ahead, Lexi.
So Supervisor Leggett I touch on this at the board meeting this past month, but the highlighted item on the sheet of paper that we were just given came from the briefing book for this year's budget that the governor put out. So it's not anything that's passed yet, but it's something that's looking to be in the budget. I just wanted to point it out because it will change things drastically, how we handle our foreclosures, or what we will be able to really do with our foreclosures. So it's talking about when a delinquent property taxpayer experiences a loss of their property through a foreclosure proceeding, any equity that has been accumulated during their ownership is forfeited. To rectify this injustice, the executive budget provides that when a tax delinquent property is foreclosed upon by the county and sold, any money the county receives that exceeds the liability amount will be returned to the property owner minus applicable administrative costs to the local government. Right now, currently in our county budget, we have a revenue code from our tax sales. And so we put money, you know, from our proceeds from the auction into that revenue code and hope to build that revenue code every year. Also, if there is excess money, we put a percentage, I believe it's at 25% of those proceeds into our environmental testing reserve fund. So if this happens, I think we will be losing both of those. So I just wanted to point it out because I'm not sure how many of you are aware of what is looking to be put into the budget this year through the state. So I don't know if it's something that the county would maybe want to put something together. Maybe we could do a resolution in opposition of this. But that's not really my call. So I just wanted to kind of put it out to see what anybody wanted to do. And if nothing, that's fine. I just still want to point it out because there's a lot of cases when we sell properties at the auction that somebody may owe 25,000 and we may only get $15,000 for the property. So the county's gonna be at a loss on that. And then there could be one down the road that is vice versa, that we sell for 25, but they only had 15 owing. So we used to make our money on the overall auction to pay off all the delinquent taxes that way. But if this happens, we're not going to do that. And then the county's going to kind of end up in the hole on some of these.
Supervisor McGowan.
Yes, thank you. Sure. The Christian thing to do is to say, this is the way to move. But we all have a responsibility of being an owner, and and I understand things do happen. And some people just get down on their luck and falls behind, and which I'm sorry for. But to me, this is just passing a dollar on to the rest of the taxpayers, in my opinion. You are responsible for your property, maintaining it. There's laws for that, paying your taxes, paying your electric bill, stuff like that. And I don't know. I think this is going to open a can of worms, and in return, it's going to be spilled out for the rest of the taxpayers. And because I've seen these auctions and I've seen some of the money that we've lost. I mean, the Muller building, we 350 or something, 380,000 in back taxes, and we got nothing for it so far. So and the towns are made whole. So it goes back on all the county taxpayers. So I don't know. I'm my Christian side of me says this is the right thing to do, but on the other hand, too, my governmental side says this enough's enough.
Lexi.
But I'm only one.
What does your non-Christian side say?
Enough's enough. No, I'm against it.
I also want to point out that right now there is, in Minnesota, there is a pending court appeal on something very similar to this happening there. So I think that decision will probably play into this as well. If that decision comes out soon. I don't know when that'll be out. But.
Supervisor Smith, then Leggett.
I'm just. Maybe I'm not seeing something. So the way I read this is that somebody has a foreclosure, so which means they haven't paid taxes for quite a while. So there's a whole bunch of tax liability run up on this, right? And I'm just thinking now, average people. So what this says is, okay, we're gonna go to auction on this. We're gonna sell it for whatever it is. Generally, it's a lot less than what's owed. But let's say you sell it for more. But first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take out the taxes, whatever taxes are. Town, county, whatever. Okay, so we're whole on taxes. Taxpayers are whole. Then we're going to take out anything for penalties. Take that. We're good with that. Any interest that's built up on those things, so we're whole on that. And then whatever's and then the liens and whatever's left over, which will probably $295 or something, but it goes back to them. But we're all whole. So. If I'm just throwing it out there, because again, I've been here now, 13 minutes. So,
That's
are we trying to make a profit on this?
No.
what you're saying is correct. In the event that we are able to sell it for more than the taxes,
Right,
penalties, interests, and other liens,
right. But
which doesn't always happen.
no, but if we don't, then he doesn't get anything anyway.
Right. But we don't either.
Okay.
On
I can give a little briefing on like the foreclosure. If it's residential property, it's 3 years before we start the foreclosure process. So we actually have the foreclosure in sale in the 4th year. We foreclose on them before we actually sell the property. So the county has taken title to these. So that's something else to consider into all of this. We go through that whole, or should I say the county attorney's office goes through that whole court proceeding end of that. But if it's vacant or commercial, it's 2 years, and in the third year we foreclose. But all along through this, people are given the opportunity to come in and pay. If people, there's notices that are sent out, the county attorney's office sends a notice in like September or October, just making them aware of their outstanding taxes. And then it's either March or April that they get mailed the petition with another notice. In June, the first week in June, I go out and anybody that has not paid their taxes, I post all of those properties. If they didn't receive a petition, we put a petition on the property plus a single page foreclosure notice. If they received the petition, we just give them the single page notice. There is lots of opportunities given to these people. If somebody's gone into an installment agreement and they default on that, in the months of March, April, May, I make phone calls to these people that are in defaulted installment agreements and try to talk to them all personally and give them other means to try to save themselves. If they have a mortgage, reach out to your mortgage company, see if they'll realign your mortgage and put these taxes into them. A bank doesn't want to foreclose either because it's a process for them. It doesn't just happen overnight. It could be 3 years before that foreclosure is final, if not longer.
Just hold on. I know nobody's trying to say that Warren County is doing it wrong or that we are treating our taxpayers unfairly, because I don't think that's true. I think the point that Supervisor Smith was making is that we're not trying to profit off people either when we go to foreclosure and sell it. And there is an argument to be made that the excess should go back to the landowner, just like happens in a private foreclosure. But Supervisor Smith, you had another point?
More of a question than a point. I've never undergone a foreclosure, so I don't know how that works, but generally I would imagine that if a guy's not paying, he smells it coming, right? He knows
Right.
it's coming. And if he's got equity in the house, is it possible for him to go to the bank and say, hey, I need a home equity loan? So he takes out in advance. So now we got nothing, right?
Yes.
Because now it's all gone. And the bank will give him that because he'll figure, oh, he's going to use that to pay on a house. He's going to look for a job. So, I mean, that's what I would try to prevent, that kind of thing. I don't know if you can, but if I worked for Satan, that's what I would do.
Supervisor Leggett.
Thank you. We do go through a big process. People do have the opportunity along the way to work with the county on many different fronts on this. It is their choice not to sell the property in advance and get out the equity that they have. Whether the county does put a lot of work into it, those would be covered under the administrative costs to the local government. We would probably come up with a price sheet and get something along those lines. But when you put it into the balance that we pay somebody, if the bidding, and this is at an auction, if the bidding produces an excess over what the tax moves were, then we give that away. But if it's under, we absorb the cost. Where's the fairness in this? Are you on the resolutions committee for NISAC?
Yeah, Lexi mentioned that, but I don't think this will be in that packet because those resolutions all come from our February meeting.
Okay.
And this is just new in the budget. I can look, but I can't bring up a new resolution.
I wonder what committee at NISAC this week.
We have a real property tax committee, don't we? I have to look. We can also ask Steve Aquario because they may be lobbying on this anyway on our behalf.
This was discussed at Adirondack Association of Towns and Villages. Steve Aquario was there. So it got put on the radar.
Did they say what NISAC's position is?
I do not recall.
Okay. I think we'd have a better chance of lobbying against this if that's where we're headed, if NISAC is doing that for all of us.
I know the finance is all over this as well, finance directors or treasurers, whatever you
Okay.
say.
Should we ask Mr. Taflin to reach out to Steve Aquario and see what they're doing?
Doing that right now.
Okay, good. I don't think I have anything else. Lexi, do you have anything else? We're over, so-
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll be attending my winter conference.
Okay, great. Thank you for doing that. We look forward to a report when you get back. Could I have a motion to adjourn? Thank you Supervisor McDevitt, second by Supervisor Smith. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.
Okay.